How are we doing, everybody? I am Jeff Hoke, as always, here with Kevin Perdios, and pouring a drink up top is Chris Henrique.
Yes, sir.
Gonna take a shot in honor of the Bruins loss because why not? So this, of course, uh, this is Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast brought to you by Couch Guy Sports, sponsored by Shocked Energy and Exogun. This is episode 25, guys. We've made 25 episodes so far. So far, so good. We're a quarter of the way in. If any of you are shocked by that, then buy some Shocked Energy, because head on over to shockedenergy.com. And who couldn't use an energy drink right now? Use the promo code CGSN today for 10% off your next order. That's promo code CGSN for 10% off your next order. Something I am shocked about was the play of the Bruins today, boys. Where do I begin on this? I don't know did any of you guys watch the game, first of all? Any of them?
I saw Twitter highlights and I saw some stuff through like social media. To be honest with you, again, I think it's still a game they should have won tonight.
Yeah.
Similar to like what I said last week with some of the games they should have won. We're getting into crunch time. I think it's a Blues team. It was a beatable team. The Tory Crew homecoming, cute story, love you, mean it, but Bruins should have won that game. Unfortunately, though, Carlo went down with an injury. I'm not really sure the full extent of what that looks like. Not ideal, especially as we're getting closer to the postseason. But again, I just feel like it's a game the Bruins should have won, and unfortunately, they dropped that game. And you know what I mean? Like, again, not the end all be all, but we're getting into the postseason. Let's start beating teams who have some cachet that have a good roster, and that it's a good tune-up for the postseason.
So, I let's break it down here for a second before we get too far into things. They were up 2-1, and they ended up tying it 2-2. Then took a 3-2 lead about a minute or 2 minutes later, before heading into the third period. They then made it a 4-2, and that was the final score. Couple of things to, like Chris already said, Carlo got hurt, so now you're down Grizzlick, Carlo, and now Hampus Lindholm. Next man up is Anton Bleed. After that, it's Lewington. It's guys that you've never even heard of down there in the AHL. That yikes! That you don't want to you don't want to get that far. That would be 2017 Ottawa Senators series all over again.
And to kind of jump in, though, like I think it's a big part of why that we've been saying this team needs to go out and secure some defense and get depth on the blue line. Just Josh Brown has been a nice little like fit, but is there a guy that Sweeney can go out that's like a Tenorti type that he got last season, that's available now that maybe he can go in and kind of like grab just to get that depth? Or is there someone that we're not expecting that's at the upper levels that can come in and help this team out? It's starting to feel like the defensive core is falling apart close to the postseason, and that concerns me because that has been their Achilles heel going into the playoffs.
So, Kevin, I'll toss it to you on this one. One thing that was mentioned today, and I mentioned to you before the show started, was Bruce Cassidy had some, not some nice comments, obviously, after the game. Just a couple of things. His level of disappointment in Frederick taking the roughing penalty in the second was very high. He took a roughing penalty on Tarasenko, did not see the ice again after that, did not play again after that. So there's another defenseman you didn't have. And then Charlie Coyle, who was one of the main culprits for that go-ahead goal, coughed at the puck. He said Coyle has the puck on his stick and doesn't shoot, and it goes the other way. Bruce Cassidy doesn't, we all know he doesn't sugarcoat things around here, but this seems a lot more, he seems a lot more serious about this time around, because they're not playing smart hockey right now.
No, they're not. And I'm currently watching some of the highlights right now. And, I guess one of the things I love about Cassidy is that he doesn't sugarcoat it, right? Like he doesn't, like you said, he tells it how it is and take it or leave it. And I think it may rub a lot of guys the wrong way, but at the same time, it gets the best out of them. And I didn't see the Coyle play yet, but the first goal that St. Louis scored was fucking atrocious. Like that is blame on every single person
Minute
on the
into the
ice,
game.
including Carlo. Carlo is right there, and just like that goal should not ever happen.
Yep.
I mean, there's blame on all 6 guys on the ice, including Swayman. Right, like that. That's embarrassing. You got to figure out a way to not allow that to happen. You let them. Anyways, but yeah, like frustrating goal overall, frustrating game overall. It seems like Chris kind of summed it up. You know, you got to get going here. You got to you can't rely on or you can't fall back on. Well, we're missing Pasta. We're missing, um, a couple of guys, including Carlo going down tonight. Yeah, it hurts, right? It hurts. It's not ideal, but it's a game of hockey. In we've said it 100 times. If you're a guy or you're a team that can't can't muscle out a win against a team like the Blues is kind of reeling, kind of a beatable team. You're supposed to be one of the best teams in hockey, and you can't muscle out a win against them, or you can't kind of scrap together a win and play decent enough hockey where we're going to keep this competitive and we're going to keep it close. And I don't know what to tell you. And it's a tough game, especially being at home.
I will say, they have been reeling. Yes, the Blues have, but they are 8-1-1 in their last 10, so they have been quite hot. They're in second place in the Central Division. I did not realize that. Wow. Anyway, that's besides the point. We will break that down a little bit later. I want to break down the Western
Regardless
Conference
of that,
aspect
though,
of things.
I still think you need to beat them.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. No, I'm not.
they're-
I'm just saying. I'm just saying they're not reeling as much as I thought they were. I looked at it and the 8-1-1 in the last 10. But yes, you need to be able to beat them. That is just like the last time you said it last week. These are teams you got to beat.
I think it's a different game too if Pasta is playing and we have Lindholm out there too. I think it's a different.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? So, at the end of the day, it's not like the end of the world. You know what I mean? They lost 4-2. I still think it's a team they should have beat, but full strength. I think the Bruins wiped the floor with this team. I think the Bruins are establishing themselves as a team in the Eastern Conference that you don't really want to mess with. I think that they're, I think they're putting themselves in a position where they could have some longevity in the postseason. It's just frustrating because we want to see this team go out there, execute, win, get the W, get the 2 points, and move on. For me, it's more of I think everybody was so focused on Torrey Krug and the homecoming and all that bullshit that kind of comes along with that, to where it's a little more frustrating. You know what I mean? It's more of like, all right, so they lost. Now I'm seeing, Instagram photos that Pasta's hanging out with Torrey before the game, all that other shit. I think fans are going to go and like equate that to the loss versus what we actually saw on the ice.
Yeah, definitely. And Torrey Krug did score in his return. Of course he did, because that's what Kevin said. And what Kevin says goes. So just recapping the last couple of games. So they lost the last 2. They lost obviously to the Blues today. And the Capitals on Sunday 4-2. They did beat the Lightning though, 2-1 on Friday night. It was a good game. It was a better game. That was one of their better games. Swayman obviously still struggling a little bit. Linus Allmark, taking over the number 1 role a little bit. That's the whole point of fluctuating goalies at this point. You're gonna have your moments where one goalie isn't playing well, the other goalie's playing well. Linus had his stretch of not playing well. Now Swayman's on that stretch of not playing well. Hopefully, the two can come together here in the playoffs and play well enough to get wins. But if the defense isn't there, it's going to be a little bit harder to work with. Something I do want to go over. So we did go over the Bruins defense a little bit. Something I do want to mention, Derek Forbort oh my God, Derek Forbort, what the hell? Why is he still on the first pairing, Chris? Anyone? Kevin? Who wants to answer this? He didn't do bad today, but on Sunday against the Capitals, 3 of those goals were allowed by him.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've kind of summed it up in the last few episodes, and even in the past. It's our defense is atrocious right now, right? Like it's kind of like, it's kind of, we will continue across sports here. It's all right. Well, your number one, like if your number one pitcher is sucking, why keep him as the number one? Well, you only keep him as the number one if your 2, 3, and 4 are also sucking, right? Like you only, and that's what's happening right now. Do we have any confidence that anyone else could step into that pair and do a much better job? I mean, there's only one really way to find out, but at the same time, it's overall, it's just, it doesn't look good defensively. And even from the highlights, it's like, guys, you're making these goals look way too easy for them. Like you're handing Tarasenko open ice in the slot, and you're just, no one's in the vicinity of him. That's defense 101. You see a guy in a high scoring area, you got to put a body on him. You got to cover him. You got to do something. And Forbort being the number one pairing or whatever, it is what it is. It's kind of like, yeah, you can nitpick it, but at the same time, I don't know if there's anyone clearly better that can take that top pairing.
No, 100%. Chris, what do you got on that one?
I'm not really concerned with Forbort. I know obviously he's had a tough go of it, but he's going to go as far as his defense is going to take him, right? And I've rallied around, and I've been pretty consistent since we started the podcast, 24, 25 episodes into this shit, that the blue line has been important. That's an area that they need to protect and they need to improve on. Players are going to go and they're going to have tough stretches, and I'm not concerned long term about Forbort. I think that once they get into the playoffs, it's going to be a different conversation. Ultimately, though, for me, it's like obviously Forbort, is what you kind of question me on, but I think that we should kind of look at some positives. Like, yeah, Forbort might be struggling, but a guy like on the offensive side, like Eric Halla, has been playing really well. He's got 14 goals, 24 assists. He's really kind of like stepped into as that second line center. He's really kind of grabbed that like brass ring out of like nowhere that we weren't expecting, to where, he can maybe take some attention off of some deficiencies on the defense. 38 points. It's not anything to kind of like, shake your head to. Like, the dude's been playing pretty well. Again, I know your question was about Forbort, but I'm not concerned from a long-term perspective of Forbort. I think there's some other things around him that can help make this team better, and Eric Hall has been one of those. And I know it's on the offensive side.
I'd say that's a really good point there too. Excuse me. I do want to move on because I do want to break this down. I said we talked about last week the Eastern Conference side of things when it comes to the playoffs. We broke that down. I want to move on this week to the Western Conference, and it's a very tight conference right now. Everyone in the hunt right now are trailing by 6 or less points. Vegas is trailing by 2. I think Winnipeg trailing by 5. So we'll do what we did last week. I'll start with Kevin, and I'll go to Chris on the next one, and so on and so forth, and back and forth we go. So in a very tight Western Conference right now, the current matchup would be would start with Calgary and Nashville. Kevin, what you got?
Calgary in 6.
I mean, obviously they have Saros is a good goalie, and Markstrom is a good goalie, so that would be a good matchup. But Calgary's offense has been absolutely dynamite this season with that Tychuk, Gaudreau, and Lindholm on that first line. They do split it up every now and then, but regardless, does that front does that Nashville team that has a Duchesne, Forsberg, and Granlund, do they have a chance at all?
Yeah, they have a chance, absolutely, right? Like in this could very this is a series that you look at, like we're looking at it right now. Calgary's got 97, Nashville's got 87 points, right? So 10 points seems like a massive gap when you especially when you look at the kind of the other playoff landscapes, but it's not. I think both these teams are similar talent wise on paper, but really what I've why I think it goes 6 or 7 and it goes Calgary's way is Calgary's going to be more physical. Calgary, I view as a more tougher team. The Kachucks kind of do their little best Brad Marchand impersonations, and I think it works. And then,
Yep.
when someone has an issue, they got a guy like Milan Lucic to answer the bell.
Yep.
So that's kind of, you know what? There's something to be said for it. And I sent you the article or the Spit and Chicklets podcast episode when you have two former guys that play in the league that are like, you know what? This is how the league has to be. It has to be this physical game. Like it just is. You need those guys in there that in a 7-game playoff series, bad blood is going to happen because it's going to be a physical series. It's going to be a close series that the competitive natures are going to come out in everyone, obviously. And I always give a little bit more leeway to the teams that are more physical, more tougher,
Yep.
right? Like the Blues were not a talent wise better team than us 2 years ago or whatever it was. They were just bigger and stronger. That's what it was. We had more talent than them. They were bigger, stronger, and played more physical, and they beat the hell out of us.
And their goaltender is better than fucking Tuukka Rask.
Well,
It's
as he's walking out of the room.
Subject for Jeff. It's an ongoing soft subject. Binnington, but
Shittington is his name. Georgia Shittington.
Yeah,
but he
but
was good then.
something-
He was good then. He's ass now.
But there's something to be said, right? Like so especially in the 7-game playoff series. Yeah, one game, one game in the middle of April. All right, maybe I'm probably going Nashville, but 7 games when you have to do this in 7 games, Calgary's going to be in better shape come game 5, 6, and 7, and that's where I think the advantage goes to them, and they're so even talent wise that if you allow your third, fourth lines to really just be that physical presence, it opens up opportunities for your number one line. And when you got a guy like Johnny Gaudreau on your team, it's huge advantage for Calgary.
So onto the so that's that one. We'll toss it over to Chris now. And Chris, if you say one good thing about Bennington coming up here, because I do give you the Blues matchup here soon, but I'll put you in the sin bin. Don't you even think about it.
I'm all right.
The sin bin is wide open for you, sir. Edmonton and Los Angeles Oilers lead that series currently 3-1 overall in the regular season. Obviously, Edmonton's goalie situation is about the same as what Toronto's goalie situation is. So, what is your take on this possible matchup?
I think ultimately, when it comes to Edmonton, it's going to be like, what does that offense produce, right? They are locked and loaded with players from McDavid all the way down. So, what does that ultimately look like? So, they're having a great year. They're 42, 25, and 6. They're getting smoked tonight against the Wild. They're down like 5-1. But at the end of the day, yeah, goaltending is going to ultimately take as far as you're going to go in the postseason. But like, does McDavid step up? Like what does that look like? If you're the best player in the world, best player in the NHL, can you help kind of like will your team, to that W and kind of move yourself further in the postseason? I think that Edmonton has the opportunity to make them, go on a deep run. In my opinion, it's going to be as far as that offense is going to take them. I think that they're loaded. I think that Draisaitl, he's confident. He quoted the other day by saying like he wants to that he wouldn't want to play. No one should play them in the playoffs, so to speak. Well, guess what? Now it's your time to fucking show that, right? Like,
Put up or shut up.
exactly. So if you go out there and you secure a first round win, maybe a second round win, you go to the East Western Conference Finals. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I think people are going to take Edmonton a little bit more seriously. Like, if anybody was to say that team is not loaded with potential, I think you got rocks in your head. Like, that's a good club. That's a good hockey team, right? It's time for those players to put it together, and between like a McDavid and Draisaitl and everything else from then on down, to go ahead and start to go into the postseason and play better. You know what I mean? Like, that team is loaded. They have so many good young players. So, to be honest with you, I like Edmonton. I think that, if you had to put a gun to my head and take the two teams, I'd go Edmonton in 7 though. But that team is going to have to. It's kind of like should get off the pot. I mean, it's time to step up. As far as I'm concerned. So, if you're going to say like, hey, I wouldn't want to play the Oilers in the postseason, show us. Fucking show me why.
I love it. So next match up would be the Western Conference leading and running away with it right now with 110 points, Colorado versus Dallas. Kevin, take it away.
Yeah, you kind of would think that this is Colorado no-brainer, right? And then you tie into the season series, and it can kind of make you second guess it a little bit. The Stars actually lead that season series. But again, I said it with the Eastern Conference last year. Yeah, it was a year ago since we last recorded. Last week that, I'm not paying much attention to that. Colorado, I think, is just a bigger, faster team, more talent. And like you said, they're running away with it. I think there's something to be said about experience as well. And Dallas has some veteran leadership on that team. And I think that helps, but I don't think it's enough to overcome Colorado's juggernaut of an offense that it seems to be. And because of that, I think it's a gentleman sweep. Dallas will steal a game. But I think Colorado takes it pretty easily in 5 games.
Yeah, I think that line, Cale Makar is just an absolute beast, and no one's stopping him. And then you have McKinnon when he's healthy, and then who knows if you're going to get Landis. I don't know what Landeskog's update is, but either way, if you have that full line,
yeah, this is the Avalanche are a team that I hope aren't the Maple Leafs, right? Like I hope. Like, I want them to be good. I want them to be like, go to the Stanley Cup Finals, whatever it is. I want to see them be the team that comes out of the West. But we haven't seen it yet, right? Like a few years ago, when Toronto started building up this run, they were a juggernaut in the regular season. They're a juggernaut again this season. But what are we saying about Toronto? They're frauds. They're not going to make it out of the first round because they're a bunch of frauds. They can't. And until they get to the Stanley Cup Finals, that's going to be my take on them going forward. I'm just hoping Colorado is not that team. And I hope what we're seeing for them to rack up 110 points in the regular season, it's legit. It's not a fluke. It's not, they're not going to peel all over themselves come the first round of the playoffs. I hope they're the team that comes out of the West.
And I think last year they made it to second round or the finals. I can't remember though. It wasn't Stanley Cup Finals, but the Western Conference Finals or whatever it was. Regardless, that leads us. And like I said, that is such a depth built team that they should make the run at it. But like you said, 7 games, you never know. That's why you play them. It could Dallas could easily, come out on top on that one. Dallas just a few years out of playing in the Stanley Cup Finals, so they have experience. Anyway, the last matchup, and like I said, this is a close race, and so just to go over things really quick, Calgary has 97. Colorado has 110. They're running away with it at this point. You then have Calgary at 97, Edmonton at 90. What else we got here? Nashville at 87, Los Angeles and Dallas at 86.
Blues have 96 points.
Yeah, St. Louis has 96 points. Minnesota has 94 points. And then you have down bottom 84 points for Vegas and then 81 points for Winnipeg. And 80 points for Vancouver. Surprisingly, the Canucks are still in it. I don't know how that's even possible. Either way, we'll take it to the last matchup. And what I think, if you're looking at all the matchups so far that we have said, this is probably the best matchup, everything wise. You got St. Louis versus Minnesota, Chris. Now, Kirill Kaprizov obviously is really good. And then you have, obviously, you saw the Blues play today. You would think at this point, the way Husso has played, I think that's how you pronounce it, Husso, the goalie that played for the Bruins against the Bruins today. You would think at right now he'd be the game one starter, Bennington being the backup. But regardless, what is your take on this 7-game series between St. Louis and Minnesota?
I think honestly it's a coin flip. They're 2 points apart from each other right now. I think that's a series where it would go 7. If it went anything less than 7, I'd be shocked. Evenly matched. To be honest with you, all season they've been neck and neck between second and third place in their division. The Blues right now have 96 points. Obviously, the Wilds are at 94. Blues have been playing good hockey the last 6-7 games. But they're an evenly matched team. You know what I mean? Like they're from a goals from a goals against perspective, there's a 13 goal difference between the Blues and the Wild, where the Blues have that advantage. But from a goals faced, it's a 5 goal perspective. So they're an evenly matched team. I think this is a team I think this is a series that can go 5 games. Now, who comes out of that? I'd like to see the Wild come out of it. I think they got a better goaltending situation. I think that Fleury is a better option. I just think that I just feel like the Wild has been playing better hockey in the last handful of weeks. But Blues look good tonight, took care of business. But having said that, you have a veteran championship, I know how to win goaltender in Fleury. I like the Wild in 7 against the Blues.
Like I said, that's probably the best matchup of that round. Obviously, that's a lot could still change, but I do hope that's the matchup that stays the same. Shocked energy. Don't forget to get your shocked energy, guys. We're all tired right now. I can tell. Kevin's fading. I'm definitely fading. Chris is on a high right now with some tequila shots in him.
Screwball. I don't do tequila. I'm too fucking old for tequila.
Okay, sorry, screwball shots in him. Regardless, but me being old, I just drink energy drinks. So why not try Shocked Energy? ShockedEnergy.com. Use promo code CGSN today for 10% off your next order. So the upcoming schedule looks a lot like the upcoming schedule I said last week. Although a little bit. So you got Ottawa today, Ottawa on Thursday at home. You then play Penguins on Saturday at home. And then you will travel to St. Louis on Tuesday. And then you will travel to Pittsburgh on Thursday. So it's a lot of, the same teams playing here and there. Regardless, boys, you know what to do. You know what time it is. It is time to do some penalty shots. And I know Kevin has one he wanted to use. I don't know if he still plans on using it, but I'm going to toss it to Kevin to start this one.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to use it. It was more related to the Carlo getting hurt again. He's kind of getting on my last nerves about it. I didn't see what happened, but it's kind of like, dude, you great to look at. I'm trying to think the same from the blind side. At least we'll look good getting off the bus, but once they find out he's a giant teddy bear, we're kind of screwed. It's great guy to look at. Like, wow, there's a big presence in front of the net, big presence on the blue line, but you're only as so good as you being on the ice, and he's not, and I'm kind of at my wit's end with him. Maybe his fault, may not be his fault. You never know the case, but regardless, when we're shallow on the defensive end, um, you got to get guys that are out there, and we saw how badly we needed him last year, 2 years ago, whenever it was, when he got hurt and all hell broke loose after that. It was like we played the rest of the series without a defense. Um, so I'm at wit's end with him, and I if I'm Sweeney, Cassidy, whoever kind of that gets in the room come the off season, however the season plays out, I'm not hesitant on putting Carlo in trade talks. And you know what, dude, you guys stay healthy, and maybe it's a change of scenery, maybe it's something else, but I think I'm all set with him, and he may be a guy that look out for to being traded, because you can't just keep getting hurt. Um, but back to the series, the next 3 games.
That is, let me tell you what, that is a fucking hot take.
I love it.
That
I
is a hot
fucking
take.
love it.
That is a fucking hot take.
And
I mean, it's like,
no, you're right. It's just that's like the hottest take we have had on this show in all 25 episodes. And I love it.
but like, again, it comes back to
100%.
what it comes back to is, again, we suck at drafting, right? Like, if you have the depth at D, like if you have these other guys that, so what, Carlos down. All right, well, we got the, Charlie McAvoy's of 3 years ago when he's coming up, or whoever it may be. You got 2, 3, 4 guys that, yeah, they're not going to be what he is yet, but they're sufficient enough to hold it and they'll continue to develop. Then fine. You know what? We'll live with it, because these guys are going to get their playing time to develop, but we don't have that.
Yeah.
It's we just talked about it earlier in the show. The Forbort being on the first defensive pairing. It's like, we got nothing else to do. Like, what do you want us to do? As Big Jim Murray would say on 98.5, spin the wheel of gutless bums, and we'll figure out which one of these guys is going to be on the first pairing with McAvoy, because no one else knows how to friggin' play defense on this team for some reason. And so put Carlo on the block, man. If you can get two second line pairings or third line pairings, whatever it is, just to provide some depth to this team defensively, then so be it. And maybe it's a package of DeBrusque with Carlo, and you have another solid number 2 defensive pairing coming back in return, and you bring up the kid from, what is the
LaSalle. Yeah.
Next year to
They
start.
could be lower, that's for sure. So
yeah, like maybe that's what you do. Fine, we'll put you two together to get a solid D, and then we'll let one of these young kids get his feet wet with us to begin the year. But again, that's hopefully another 2 months from now conversation. But the next 3 games are, you would want to say should be wins, but we saw tonight anything can happen. If you lose to the Ottawa team, I might freak the fuck out and hit the panic button. And because, like, Ottawa, if you lose to Ottawa, I don't know what to tell you, but if I'm Cassidy, I might just be calling Sweeney and say, fuck it, we're not playing the playoffs. We're forfeiting the rest of the season. Fuck it, I'm out. Because you can't lose to this team. Penguins missing one of their best players for the next 4 games. Got to capitalize. You're playing them twice in the next 4 games. You got to capitalize that they're missing one of their best players. That I'll kind of leave it at that.
Okay. I will say,
so really quick before I understand Fenway Sports Group.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I didn't even think of that.
The Boston
Fuck
Red
you, John
Sox.
Henry. Fuck you, John Henry.
What did you do, Chris? Jesus Christ.
Sidney Crosby / fucking Chris Sale. Here's the thing, right? I don't think the Bruins are going to disappoint to that. I really don't. I think the Boston Bruins They're going to get in the postseason. They have, in the last handful of weeks, Jeremy Swayman has been playing some really good defense. Yeah, he struggled the last handful of games. Linus Ullmark has played pretty well. I think that their defense is going to carry them to the point where I don't think we have. To be honest with you, I think the Bruins, if they don't get to the Eastern Conference Finals, if they fall short of the Eastern Conference Finals, that honestly, based off how they've played in the last handful of 2-3 months, that to me is an absolute disappointment. 100% call Sweeney, you know what I mean? Like, hide your kids, hide your wife. Like, I'm fucking pissed. Time to fire people. You know what I mean? Like, that's unacceptable.
Yeah. Eastern Conference Finals?
I think this team is built to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now,
No, I agree, but I'm saying it's a disappointment if you don't get to the Stanley Cup final.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. The only reason I say that is from a roster construction standpoint, this trade deadline, he only added Lindholm, right? So he secured the blue line, but having said that, Lindholm is hurt. Lindholm is out of action right now, so it's not like Lindholm is going to be has been playing to full strength, top capacity from the time he's been acquired. He's on the shelf right now, so that concerns me. You know what I mean? Like that there is that element of, okay, well, we acquired a dude who's hurt, but again, having said that, I think this team is built to get to these conference finals. I think their goaltending situation can get them there. I think they can get there one hug at a time, all the way down to where they need to go. Now, if they don't, and if they get bounced in the first round, then there needs to be a serious conversation about the coach, the GM, and the president on the hot seat. If they're out in the first round, they get to the second round, I'm not in that boat any longer. But going into next year, that coach needs to put this team in a position to be competitive in the postseason. The question's going to remain is, what did the Bruins do? I think 100%. I think the Bruins have already locked up Sweeney, and it's not been announced yet. He's lame ducking that shit. We're going to go through the playoffs, and then whatever happens, and the Bruins are going to announce that, hey, by the way, we've extended Don Sweeney. Now, whether we agree and or disagree, I think that's what's going to end up happening. Now, having said that, if this team does not go to these conference finals, then I think that Jeremy Jacobs and company makes a bad decision. But how does Sweeney go and trade the assets that he trade for Lindholm if he's not going to be here for the future? Why does the front office and ownership group let him go and take those assets and trade them if he's not going to be around? I think he's going to be around. So this team needs to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. If not, we need to take a fucking serious look at the head coach. Which in all of sports is what happens, whether we like it or not. That's what happens. We take the hard look at the head coach, but guys, I think that Sweeney is going to get the free pass. I think that Sweeney is gone. Like, it's been so quiet. There's been no movement on Sweeney whatsoever. I can't imagine if I'm the owner of the Boston Bruins, I do not allow Don Sweeney to trade my first round pick, my second round pick, those assets for a player, knowing that you're a lame duck general manager. I don't allow you to do that.
I don't know.
I rat it out.
They suck at drafting first round picks anyway, even if it is not Sweeney.
About that. But Jeff, like, think about it though. Like, yeah, we suck at drafting, but if I'm gonna let Sweeney go and I have, GM A ready to go, and this person that I want to slide in, do I let Sweeney make that move? No, I don't. I do a second tier move. I don't go and get Lindholm. I get a second pairing defenseman that I give a third round pickup for, that I throw into the defense.
Unless it's a save your job type move. That's the only
thing. And that's the thing. So
real quick, guys. We do have to wrap it up here, but real quick. What do you got, Kevin?
No, I think, Yeah, you definitely have to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, right? And here's why. Sweeney took over in 2015, right? 2015, we missed the playoffs. 2016, we missed the playoffs. 2017, we lose in the first round. 2018, we win a round, but lose in the conference semifinals, right? 2018, or 2019, I should say, we lost in the final. We won 3 rounds. We're stepping forward. We are moving this train forward. You are seeing progress and development. You haven't gotten out of the semifinals for the last 2 years. So now, if you're going to come back and say, "Hey, by the way, we're not going to get out of the semifinals again," and by the way, we're going to extend our GM. I don't know. I don't know how you can sit there and say it, because if I'm the owner and if I'm the GM, or if I'm the owner, where we know that guy can have blame on himself as well. I don't think this is coaching. Like I don't think this has anything to do with what I'm whatever. I don't think this has to do with coaching. I think it has to do with the talent that's put in that locker room and the moves that are being made and the lack of moves that are being made. Right. And like Jeff said, this very now they may be quiet because there may be conversations of, "Hey, Sweeney, you gotta do something here, man. Like you gotta show that we are making progress. And the only way you make progress, and the only way it shows it, is by getting out of the semifinals and getting to the Eastern Conference Finals." Selfishly, right? Like I'm kind of like, yeah, the Eastern Finals, okay, on paper it looks great, but you should be built to win, right? Like we should be okay to get out of the Eastern Conference and be in the Stanley Cup. If you get to the Stanley Cup, that's the only way I'm going to be okay with hearing a Sweeney extension or anything like that, because I really do think how you trade those first round picks and all that is your job's on the line, and he knows his job's on the line, and we'll yeah, kind of like the playoff baseball analogy, we got to win today and we'll deal with tomorrow. This is pretty much it. You got to win right now, and we'll deal with in the future how to replenish the farm system, because if you don't do that, you're not going to be the manager. You're not going to be the general manager of the Boston Bruins come 2022-2023 season.
There. That was
I still think, to be honest, I still think that Sweeney's come back.
Then you know what? We're more of a laughing stock than the Toronto Maple Leafs at this point.
Oh, well, okay.
If you're going to bring him back,
easy now. Easy. Let's not.
Well, the Leafs have no goaltending situation, and to be honest with you, I feel like that team.
Well, our GM just gave a backup goalie 5 years.
So,
I think we do have to wrap this up. So go ahead, really quick, Chris.
I think the Maple Leafs front office is better than what we give credit for, and I'm actually kind of surprised they did not go ahead and address that goaltending situation. I think that's kind of a mistake on their part, but at the end of the day, I think we're a Bruins podcast. I want to see the Bruins go to the Stanley Cup. Anything less than an Eastern Conference Finals appearance to me is a failure. Hands down. I don't give a shit. Like Lindholm, Coyle, whoever you want to name, the usher in section 105. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, if they don't go and get to the Eastern Conference Finals, to me, that's a failure based off of what they've done, the assets they've traded, and how they've played in the handful of last 2.5 months. Get to the ECF and go from there. ECF, right? Is that right?
Yeah, ECF.
Yeah. All right, yep. Let's go.
So bring the gavel down now. You guys all set? that was heated. That was heated. I was not expecting
this for hours. You know that.
I'm aware of that, but Jeff has to wake up at 4 a.m. and it is 11:06, and we got to wrap this show up before, I think that gave everyone a nice life of energy too. Jesus. Anyway.
Energy. Shocked energy.
Yeah, exactly. Look at that. You're getting used to these segues now. Look at that. You're getting used to these segues. Head over to shockedenergy.com. Use that promo code CGSN right now for 10% off your order. 10% off, guys. CGSN. If you guys need to wake up, use some shocked energy. That being said, I am Jeff Hoke, as
Honestly, I can use
always.
like a 10-piece nugget right now.
You what? You kind of.
I can use like a 10-piece nugget right now.
Ooh,
A 10-piece nugget, that's it. No drink, no fries, just a fucking 10-piece nugget. Send it.
I know where Chris is going after this.
You're
Once
down
again,
a fucking stone throw from my apartment. So yeah.
I would not be shocked energy if that happened. Once again, I'm Jeff Hoke, as always. That's Kevin Padillos. That's Chris Henrique. We'll be back next week. Maybe we'll continue this conversation. If it wasn't so late at night, I probably would have let you guys go for another hour. But that being said, this has been Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Brewers podcast brought to you by Couch Guys Sports, sponsored by Shocked Energy, and of course, our friends over at Exogun Massage Guns. I'm Jeff Hoke. That's Cameron Padillos. That's Chris Henrique. We'll see you in episode 26.
2-6, bitches.